It's an extraordinarily challenging time. The last thing we need is dumb government. And the idea of regulated responses to challenges isn't working. We need dialogue. We need a collaborative capitalism, which is what I see happening in Kitchener-Waterloo, where people invest not just in their business, but in their competitors' business, because they try to build a cluster and a critical mass of talent and capital so that their business succeeds in the culture and ecology of the community. It's what our Governor General has called something in the water in Waterloo. It's that barn-raising mentality. But I see it in McMaster University. There's a dynamism in Hamilton right now that is palpable. If you go to the Innovation Factor, there is a city that's looking south to Pittsburgh and looking north to Kitchener and saying, well, you know, we're one of the most strategically located cities. We have incredible assets, great history, a beautiful lake, and a centrality to some of the most important knowledge economies in the world. They will emerge. We are recovering in this economy because we're being more innovative. We will close our productivity gap only if we get even more innovative. The United States has only recovered 10% of its jobs since the bottom of the recession. Ontario has recovered 75%. No one comes close to that number. And yes, while we have a deficit and a plan to get out of it, our priority is to get human beings back to work, because that's about more than a job. And if you spend some time with families that are unemployed, people who have worked who find themselves in their 50s without the dignity of a job, the respect of their children and family as they struggle to come home, that's unacceptable. And those of us who work in the public sector, who don't have to worry about whether our paycheck comes in 1 week or 2 weeks, who have a certain level of economic security, have to take that on as our most significant responsibility in the near term. Our most significant responsibility is to get 600,000 Ontarians back to work. I think by sometime next year, unless things go very wrong, we will have fully recovered employment from the recession. Within the next 5 or 6 years, we will be out of deficit. But we can't have a culture war. We can't pick fights on human diversity. We can't play divisive politics. People have to put words like elitism, and magazines have to stop asking questions like, are there too many Asians in our universities? That is toxic politics. I've been spending a lot of time defending a decision to make an investment in young Chinese scholars, 75. It's a $30 million commitment, 10 coming from many of your institutions, 20 from our government, to bring 75 and then eventually 300 elite Chinese PhD candidates and students to this province. That's being attacked as elitism. Well, my critic has a bit of moxie, because he was minister when they cut $485 million from our university system, spent half as much as we're spending on research, and saw tuition go up 67%. That pushed a lot of families out of the system, and it took a lot of capacity away. And we closed 28 hospitals, we built 19, and we're rebuilding a research capacity in our hospitals that I think is extraordinary. And in the face of the recession, those things are most important, because that's our kids' lives, that's where the cures come from, and that's where innovation comes from. But we can't get caught up in an invention, and this is where I also need your help. My friend Michael Lazaridis and the people, when they built this was an incredible invention. But an innovation strategy is more than this. It involves the full life cycle of bringing this to market so we can make money with inventions. Not everything needs to be utilitarian, but some things do. And this is about as utilitarian a device as you can get. But it was Rogers and Bell that bought this up. And why did they buy it up? Because when you have one of these, you use 6 times as many minutes as you do with the cell phone of its generation. And if you're Rogers or you're Bell, that's ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And that makes my friend Dwight Duncan very happy, because we're trying to grow the tax base and diminish the tax burden. And the way you grow the tax base and diminish the tax burden is also through innovation, because innovation is the foundation of our fiscal policy. The more successful RIMs we have, the more people working, the more we share the tax burden, the more money that goes back into University of Toronto and York and Ryerson in my community, and to all of the universities present across this this incredible province. But we have to understand that what we're aggressively after is a life cycle approach to innovation. That's the adaptation of technology. It's usually in traditional industries, not just to adapt these technologies startup. But I guess I just will conclude by saying this. Thank you very much. Many of you in this room have had an extraordinary journey coming to Canada, and I hope you feel as Canadian as anyone else. Many of you have sacrificed a lot for your research, for your science, your family has. You deserve respect. You deserve to be celebrated. And for 10 years, the Canadian Research Chairs have done that. I hope that you will work with me to help our fellow Ontarians understand that this is about as far away from elitism as it could possibly be, that you're pretty ordinary folks doing some extraordinary things, and that we need and that we feel the shared responsibility of civic responsibility to our brothers and sisters out there to continue to pull ourselves out of the recession and to celebrate knowledge and to celebrate any kind of work that they do, whether it was my grandmother cleaning floors or whether it's you in a lab. It all has value, and we never should draw a line between the people who do all the things that we need to do to build this rather extraordinary country. And for your part in that, thank you very much. God bless and keep you safe.
Do you want to field your own questions?